Greetings, my brothers and sisters all around the world who are followers of William Branham, and specifically my brothers and sisters at Third Exodus. Now, what I want to speak to you about today is the name Third Exodus and the deception behind the name Third Exodus. And to see that when I used to be a part of Third Exodus Assembly, they would speak of the other denominations of having blasphemous names. So I want to talk to you and show you that the messages of William Branham, they were both exoteric and esoteric. And the exoteric message is what all these pastors who went and run and built churches, they grab the exoteric message of William Branham and miss the esoteric. The exo is just talking about the outer. It is just talking about the intellectual side and not the symbolic side. The symbolic side is the inner side. That's why he was able to attain outer body experience. And that's why I was able to come to that too. And come to the true resurrection and look at the empty tomb. And also to come to know the true virgin birth, what it's really all about, and how the whole thing was a deception to deceive black people. And that it was hidden. The esoteric side of the message was hidden from black people. And those who was behind the whole thing, they knew about it. Okay? Now, Third Exodus. Now, for you to understand why the name Third Exodus is really a deception, you have to understand that Moses is just a state of consciousness and not a person who existed thousands of years ago. And I'm telling you that because I've had that same experience. I have experienced scriptures in my life. I've had Moses experience, I've had Joseph experience, I've had Paul experience, I've had Joshua experience, and I've had Christ experience. I've come into my Christ energy. And not until I came into my Christ energy, I knew that I was qualified to tell of the invisible. Not until I became invisible, I knew for sure that I was qualified to come and tell others about the invisible. Now, every one of us that has been born from a woman, before we can come forth, before we can experience this exodus from thoughts to a being, because everything begins with a thought, and before it was a thought, it was spirit. So from the spirit world, we materialize into this physical world, which is just really and truly an imaginary world, because really and truly this whole experience is all a dream. So it is a dream in a dream. So I really run until about those in those anyway. Okay, so my mother, which is my earthly mother and father, before they could have had sex, it was a thought. So we are all a thought evolved being. And when you find out that you're a thought evolved being, basically is when you find your soul. It's when your soul comes to its own. It's when you come to know your true self. It's when you come to know that yourself, when you come into the experience of a self-realized being, when you become a full-fledged human, and you understand that you're only a spirit having a human experience. When you become a true witness and you're telling of the true experience, that's when you will understand that when you've been sent, you don't carry a script. You carry your experience. That's what it means. Okay? And they had to have their thoughts. And when he discharged, right, it's because of the thought he was carrying. And for 9 months, you're in your mother's womb for that 9 months. But even before that, when the sperm goes up, before the sperm can enter the egg, you have to know that the egg itself has no opening for the sperm to enter. Even scientists today cannot understand the secret of the sperm. How it has no opening and how the sperm gets in there. By imagination. Because God is the human imagination. God is the inner man. God is the invisible man. God is that invisible energy that you don't see. That's in each and every one of us that put us to sleep and wake us up. So don't get all superstitious and religious. But be open-minded. And prove all things for yourself. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, I can teach you, which I would do, how to use your imagination to create your reality. And you would see for yourself that imagination is what creates reality. You see that everything in this world was first imagined. You see everything in this world was first a thought. Then you will understand John 1. And then you will understand when in John 1 he said in the beginning was the Word and the Word was with God and so on. And the Word became flesh and so on, and without Him there wasn't anything made that was made. You will understand that when you go to church on a Saturday and a Sunday and you believe that a virgin named Mary actually bring a child from down below named Jesus, a white man, a white child, when you actually believe that you're saying without the white man you have no mind, you have no thinking for your own self, and without him there wasn't anything made that was made. So you're actually worshipping an idol. You all are in idolatry, my friends. So this thought that released the sperm, okay, and the sperm imagine itself into the egg and fertilize and express itself as you. It is God in His house. This is the house. This is the temple. That is why it is said that seek ye first the kingdom. Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these other things, these material things, these things that come by thoughts will be added unto you. Because why? You will discover the secret of creation. And then He tell you where to find the kingdom. In Luke 17:21, He said, don't make anyone tell you, lo, He's here, lo, He's there. Don't let anyone point you outside of yourself. Don't let no one point you outside of your own imagination. Don't let no one point you outside of that inward energy. He said, don't let no one tell you, lo, He's here, lo, He's there, for the kingdom of God is within you. That is how I know. There's no God outside of myself. My friend, there's no God in the sky. There's no God outside of yourself. God is within. And He's your own human imagination. And you can put Him to the test. You can put your imagination to the test. That's why it says in Psalms 4. Lie upon your bed and commune with your own heart and be silent. Try it. Stop going on your knees and praying to God outside yourself. And start going on your bed, lying on your bed, or take a nice comfortable seat. And commune with your own heart. And be still. With the belief that God is within. And wait on the harvest. So, it says that for the kingdom of God is within you. Then, if you go in Kings 3, it shows you also the mystery of Solomon, because Solomon is a state of consciousness. Solomon is not someone who existed 2,000 years ago. David is not someone who existed 2,000 years ago. David is a symbol of humanity. The whole thing is about you coming to the experience from humanity into your divinity. So, then you see it in Solomon. That Solomon seek for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and he was given riches. That is why, as a little boy growing up, I was seeking first the kingdom. But I didn't know I was seeking the kingdom first when I was asking myself, who am I? And I wanted to know who am I. I didn't want a religion. I didn't want a church. That's why I didn't settle for church. When I was in the Pentecostal churches, having gone to Bible school when I was 17 years of age, and get to understand that the Bible was never 66 books. It was 80 books. That's what they told me, the Old Testament. And then that it was like that. And that it is measured by a measurement called the Holy Canon, or measured by the canonity. I asked myself, how could it be the word of God and it has a measurement? Who's qualified to measure it? Not knowing that who God was at the time. That God is my own human imagination, and that God is just is energy, and that everything is energy and vibration, and that has been clearly seen in the very life of William Branham. That's all energy and vibration, and that's why you all couldn't catch the message, because you took the exoteric part instead of the esoteric. So when you came out of your mother, that was the first exodus, and the only exodus as far as I'm concerned. And you begin to have your human experience, being a spirit, and then now it was God descending into generation and must ascend into regeneration. So the regeneration is really the crossing over. So when you're born by sex, right, and your mother water back have to first bust, and then blood has to come, and then before a woman can bring forth a life, she have to first see she period. You understand? And blood have to come. That's the crossing of the Red Sea, my friend. So you cross the Red Sea to come over into an experience. And then when you come over, you find yourself to be in a slavery, because this body here is a slave to the mind. I have to tell my hand to I have to take my hand and reach out to get this bottle of water here. I can't tell my hand to reach out and get this bottle of water, and my hand will automatically reach out. So I tell you that Jesus became obedient and became a slave, and he died on the cross. This is the cross on which we all have to die. And so it is the whole Exodus is talking about moving from humanity into divinity. Coming to a place of understanding who you are. That is when you come into your Canaan land. But you have to destroy your giants to come into a place of fullness. To come into that place where all things are possible to you, because you know who you are, and you know the power inside of you, and you understand the systems of the world, and you understand the political system, you understand the religious system and the educational system, and you live above them. Now I think I've covered enough that you get an idea what I'm really speaking about. That there's nothing in the Bible that is literal. It is all allegorical. It is symbolic. It is parabolic. And it is only speaking and addressing the human mind, the human psyche. If you can get that, you have more than enough to work with. I leave you there. Love you. Peace. Peace.